Welcome everybody to our webinar today, Navarra, Spain's best kept secret. So I am David Martin, APP Development Manager for the EMEA region at the WSET. I have over a decade of experience supporting WSET approved program providers across Europe and the Middle East. And I work closely with the hospitality, distribution, and education sectors in these regions. The Wine and Spirit Education Trust, or WSET, is the world's leading provider of qualifications in courses in wines, spirits, sake, and beer. WSET has over 55 years experience in designing and delivering education to help both wine professionals and consumer enthusiasts learn more about wine, spirits, sake, and beer. You can take WSET qualifications in over 70 countries through a network of more than 800 course providers. If you're interested in finding out more about embarking on a WSET journey, visit wsetglobal.com to find your nearest course provider. Please note that this webinar will be recorded and available to watch via the WSET Global Events Hub on YouTube. You can post your questions in the QA box, and we will try to cover as many at the end as possible. This webinar today is possible thanks to the collaboration between the WSET and the Consejo Regulador de la Denominación de Origen Navarra. This Consejo Regulador has been instrumental in educating and explaining the quality of these wines to trade professionals and consumers. They believe, as we do, that quality education is essential to our sector. Let me introduce now our speaker today. Teresa is a sommelier, a WSET certified educator, and a WSET diploma holder. She is also a certified educator for several leading Spanish appellations, such as the DOCA Rioja, DO Cava, and DO Jerez. Teresa collaborates with the Consejo Regulador de la Denominación de Origen Navarra, among others, in training and promoting projects in the region. She teaches at the Escuela Superior de Hostelería de Bilbao and has developed the training contents of the Vizcaya Chacolí Training School. She is the founder and director of the WSET-approved program provider Artean Drinks in Spain, where she is responsible of the design and development of their training courses. Teresa, thank you very much for joining us today.
Okay, thank you to you, David. Thank you very much also to the WSET team for letting me spend a time of this Thursday in through this screen talking about these wonderful wines and wine region of Navarra. Yeah, let's. I will. Well, you introduce myself. You introduce me. Thank you. It's a pleasure for me to share the knowledge of wine and the experience of these Spanish regions, quite close to our experience and to our everyday life here in Spain. Okay, today I will try to share some tips and to approach many, or I hope all of you, to Navarra wines. We used to say that Navarra is a secret regarding one of the best kept secrets regarding wine in Spain. And what I will try to do in this half an hour more or less is to explain you why. We will go through a brief history of the region because the traditions and the origin of winemaking and wine production in Navarra, it's very linked with the history of the region and of the country and also with the history, I would say, of Europe as such. And I will try to explain and to let you know the tips of the singularity of Navarra wines. What are the things that make these wines so special and different to others? We will go through the main grape varieties, the key wines, and the main wine styles that you can find if you visit us here in Spain, if you have the opportunity to buy Navarra wines in your countries, in many places of the world. And for ending the webinar, we will go with some data and some context of where are the Navarra wines today in the world. Okay, so some figures just at a glance, not to have a photo at a glance of this region. First, the data, which is for me very interesting, is almost a little bit less than 9,000 vineyard hectares. If we compare this with another regions, it's more or less like Mosella in Germany, from the size of the vineyards. It's a little bit bigger than Tokaji in Hungary, for example, but just the first idea is that we are talking of a quite small, beautiful, but very concentrate and very very small special region. Wine growers officially producing nowadays this vintage producing wines, producing grapes are 1,420. And which is another interesting data for me is that the 22% of all Navarra vineyard is certified organic, is officially certified as organic vineyard, and many of the Navarra wines produced are ecological and under sustainable practices, which is also, I think, very important today in the world, but especially for a small region wanted and pretending to do special wines. We will go further, but in the whole Navarra wine region, there are 5 sub-regions, 5 areas. The whole of it are one single designation of origin, but is divided in 5 different areas. Another data we think it's also linked with the history is that there exist in the region in Navarra archaeological findings from 9 centuries before Christ. This is almost 3,000 years ago. No? But that time there are people producing grapes and eating and grapes and drinking wine. 20% of all the Navarra vineyard is over 40 years old, and there is a part of it that has more than 50, 60, and 80 years old. More or less half of the plantings are bush vines because of the requirements on and the possibilities of the terroir as well. Most of it are what we call secano. I mean, there's no possibility of water irrigation, and most of the traditional plantings were done by hand and is done in bush vines. And the average size of the plots of the vineyards are 6 hectares, 6.2 hectares. That gives an idea of the small parcels and the lot of family-driven vineyards that are concentrated, especially in this region. So, which are those secrets? In Navarre, it's very important the tradition, the history, and the quality of the production of Rosé. So we said that Navarre is the land of the Rosé wines, is the beautiful territory of Garnacha, and I will let you know and explain you some details about this right now. And it's a good refuge for freshness. Today that the world is changing so fast and the dryness and the lack of water is a crisis all over the world, and especially for wine and grapes production. In Navarra conditions of productions is a reservoir, it's a refuge for fresh conditions of production, and this is and very interesting. And as we already mentioned, 22% of the plantings are organic certified. The history, as I mentioned, is important. It starts 8 centuries before Christ, but the main origin as industry, let's say, kind of industry and regular consumption and production of wine became to the region with the Roman Empire, and especially since the 2nd century before Christ. During all the period of Roman Empire, the vineyards were growing, where there was for consumption, and there was also for business and for commercialization. In the Middle Ages, there was well, the collapse of the Roman Empire, we all know, and the refugee or the maintenance of the knowledge, the technology, and the production of grapes and wines were linked to the monasteries mainly. But in Navarra, as in other regions of the north of Spain, but especially Navarra, as an axis for it was the Way of St. James. This pilgrim's route was consolidated from the 7th, 8th centuries after Christ, but it has been live and it has operated. It's a real way of St. James until now. So for many centuries, the interchange of travelers, pilgrims, favorite the winemaking and the growing of vineyards in two senses. Once, because of the demand of the people that go through the way, and as a region close to France, there was a lot of business and commercial interchanges. So this was a good condition to produce and to increase the production of wine, but also the interchange of knowledge. New grapes that came from outside Navarra to Navarra, and grapes that came from Navarra to the rest of the world. And we can say here Navarra and Aragon, for example, and the Mediterranean area of Spain with the Garnacha, was one of the ways to expand and to share with the rest of the world the local grapes as that one. In modern age, the continuation of agriculture, viticulture, production of wine was a fact, but as in the rest of Europe, in the rest of the world, in 19th century, mildew first, and afterwards phylloxera almost destroyed the vineyard also in Navarra. At that time, it was calculated that 5,000 hectares, not 5,000, sorry, 50 hectares, 50,000 hectares were exist, and they almost disappear until only 1,000 hectares was officially at the beginning of the 20th century. There was a slow recovery afterwards, a time with socio-economical, political changes in Navarra and in the north of Spain. First, agricultural association started to join efforts and to join work to improve and to continue with the production. And by 1933, the Navarra Designation of Origin was founded. Together with Jerez in Spain and Rioja, which are the two other very old designation of origin in Spain, Navarra was one of those that from the very, very beginning started to recognize and to put in value their own vineyards and the production of their wines. From 70s to 80s, it was of the last century was also quite interesting period. There was important investment in research, in technical centers, investigations in the university as well. And it was a period where new varieties, mainly French ones, as French or international ones as Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Chardonnay, and others were developed in a bigger size, let's say. Well, Chardonnay exists in Navarra from a lot of centuries and decades ago, but the red ones, the black ones, was introduced more or less at this period. And then young producers, new family projects, and big investors as well focus on tradition, focus in innovation together, and put these two pillars for the future and for the what Navarra wines are today. The location, I was mentioning, no, this diversity, the landscape, the beauty of the conditions of production and of the production of wine in Navarra, and this has to do with the location. Navarre is this area here, and as you can see, it's strategically situated between Bordeaux, Burdeos in the north, and Rioja in the southwest, more or less. But geographically, it's close to the Mediterranean river of Mediterranean influence from the Ebro River in the south, continental influence coming from Pyrenees region from the east, and also interesting Atlantic influence coming from the north. So that makes Navarra, it's a singular climate and diverse region. It's for you that had the opportunity to visit already Navarra, you will be agree with me, and those that cannot be already in Navarra, we will be fascinated by the landscape. These two pictures are from this country. The north, as I was mentioning, no, it's the valleys and jungles in the foothills of the Pyrenees, with cool, raining, humidity, a bit continental, but also some Atlantic influence in the north. And in the south, you may find these dry plains, this almost lunar landscape in Bardenas Reales, with the hotter, drier influence of the Ebro River. So all this creates geographic and climate diversity. And we also used to say that Navarre is a land of contrast, because in all, not even 9,000 hectares of vineyards, we have a lot of variations in temperatures, in water, in humidity, and in different original soils and geological different origins of the soils. That makes important diversity. And latitude and freshness also quite in the north makes also a good influence for that. So as a resume, we can say diversity, hillsides, riverbanks, plateau, plains. These are some of the characteristics, different characteristic of these 5 production areas that I mentioned. We don't have time to go in detail here. I suggest to all of you that are interested in more details to get in the link that is in the chat, I think, for the Regulatory Council of Navarra, where you can find a lot of information and more details. Okay. Which are the important grape varieties? Well, I already mentioned about Grenache or Garnacha, as we call it here in Spain. Also Tempranillo, it's a quite important variety. There's a lot of plantings. Among the 2 of them account about the 50% of the total vineyard area. And from the last vintage, 80% of the production of the grapes in Navarra were black grapes. Other important ones, Cabernet Sauvignon, as we said, the international ones, Cabernet, Merlot, Syrah, and there are also the classical north of Spain and Iberian grape varieties as Graciano, Mazuelo, and a bit of Garnacha Gris. There's a little bit of Pinot Noir, especially in those more fresh areas, and there's some interesting Pinot Noirs in Navarra, but the most of the production are based on Garnacha grape. For us in Navarra, this is the most emblematic grape, the oldest cultivated in Navarra, and it's documented from centuries ago, and it has this capacity to reflect the character of the terroir. In a region, as I explained, that the diversity and the variations are key, a grape as Garnacha is capable to express terroir, to express different climate, to express different altitudes, latitudes, and produce interesting wines with a lot of personality. So because of this is one of the best secrets for this region. You can find high quality red, also a lot of rosés. young wines, aged ones, single or varietals, or also in blends with the other black ones. In white grapes, are more or less the 20% of the plantings, and here is Chardonnay, the queen. Okay, almost half of the plantings are made with Chardonnay in all the different also landscapes and planting conditions. And other ones, we have classic Spanish, Viura, Sauvignon Blanc as the international, Garnacha Blanca, Muscata Petit Grain, with produce fantastic sweet wines and liqueur wines, but also a bit of Malvasia and Oneca. And if you heard me say Oneca with a grape, you can say, what is that? No? Well, there is very interesting projects and reality now in Navarra that are from the last, I would say, 20, 30 years ago. There are a strong investment in the investigation and recovery of very old native grapes. Oneca is the name of the mother of the queen of the king in Navarra, one of the famous kings of the legends. And it's a very nice, interesting white variety that was almost extinct a few years ago, but now it has been recovered. There are some wines producing under the council regulatory council basis, but is in test now. But we hope that in a few years it will be possible to find and to drink fantastic wines with this grape. Okay, so with all these characteristics, the diversity of the terrain, the landscape, and those varieties, which kind of wines we can find? Okay, first, another of the interesting secrets of Navarra are the Rosé wines. The Rosé productions in Navarra is one of the oldest traditions. In fact, in the classic Rosé wines, you can find in the bottles the legal mention of Rosado Tradición, to let the consumer know that this wine is made of Garnacha, Grenache, red Garnacha, and with always the saigné methods, or sangrado, as it's called in Spanish, only pressing, slow and soft pressing of the Garnacha to produce a round, elegant, and with a lot of expression in the rosé. It can be produced in early drinking style, young wines to consume early, and also aged rosés. And in the next future, there will be also sparkling wines. There are some producers that are doing research and doing testings with the sparkling, but in the coming early years, or in a few years, or maybe in 1 or 2 years, that will be officially accepted the production of sparkling wines in Navarra for whites and rosé mainly. Okay, whites and rosé wines, and there will be, I think, a very interesting line of sellings and consume of Navarra wines in the future. Regarding whites, you have everything. Well, as the Chardonnay and the polyphacetic and potential of the Chardonnay, there are also Viura as important grape and the others, but the classical styles of whites in Navarra are early drinking, young wines, but also single varietal and barrel fermented Chardonnays, especially as classic aged whites in Navarra. When aged wines, white wines was not so popular, so classical in Navarra, the fermented in barrel and oak, and aged in oak as well for Chardonnays was one of the classics. And here I will spend one more minute with the legend of Chardonnay. I don't know if some of you know about this, but there is a very beautiful and old legend regarding the Chardonnay that is called that Theobald I in the 9th century after Christ was the king at that time, was a link among the families of France and Spain, and Theobald I was the king of Champagne and the king as well of Navarra. He owns the two territories. He was sent to the Crusades to the other side of the Mediterranean, and when he came back from those crusades in the 11th century, he brings with him the Chardonnay variety. It is understand that Chardonnay, it's the word in Arab that means the door of Jerusalem. And because of that history and that legend, here in Navarra, we consider that Chardonnay is a Navarran variety as well as a Champagne variety, because they came here at the same time. And regarding the wine styles for white wines, there are also sweet and liqueur wines, fortified or not fortified. The sweet wines can be the both styles. Most of them made with Muscat Appetit grains. In the red styles in Navarra, you can have also an expression of this potential of diversity. Young, unaged wines, mainly with Garnacha, Tempranillos, for the everyday life, fresh, fruity, and then you can have also the classic crianzas in Spain, no? The oak aged wines to be consumed in 2 to 5 years, gastronomic, expressive, elegant wines, and of course the low oak aged wines, reservas, grande reservas, which are a classic for the serve wines for several years. Okay. To finish, I think in time, and to have at the end a few minutes for your questions. Okay, what Navarre in the world? This last year, just to give you a glance of the volumes, has been, well, the last year, the vintage 2024, there were produced 28.8 millions of liters of wine. Almost half of it was red wine, and then Rosé as second volume, second style of wine in volume, and then the third, the big third is the white wines, and a little production of sweet wines. Where are these wines drank? In Spain, 74% of the Navarra wine is drinked in Navarra. In Navarra, they love their wine and they drink most of it, and in the rest of the Spain. But almost 26% are export to other countries. Main markets are in Europe, Holland, Germany, UK, but also in Canada, China, United States are mostly new markets, growing a lot and discovering these beautiful wines and enjoying it a lot. What else? More than wine, much more than wine in Navarra. The St. James Way that I mentioned as an important part of the history, but actually there is a lot of pilgrims and walkers coming, visiting Navarra and visiting Spain, and discovering the wines thanks to this beautiful way. The gastronomy in Navarra, it's also the agricultural, the production of meat, cream, and so on is very, very interesting too. And of course, the culture and the fetes, San Fermines, it's one of the most important fiestas in the world. This is occurs in Navarra, in Pamplona, but also contributes to the enjoyment of the life in Navarra and the development of rosé wine, especially that is drink in this fiesta. And the tourism and also cultural visits are possible to do all around the region. Fascinating history, culture, love for life, love for food, love for wine, breathtaking nature, landscape, diversity, impressive places to visit, to walk, to be lost in. And again, to finish, to remind you those secrets: the land of Rosé, territory of Garnacha, refugee for freshness, and leader in pureness in organic production, that nowadays is a key thing and one of the best best projects of the region. And thank you. I think this was all that I wanted to tell you and to let you know during this half an hour. And ready for you for your questions or for comments that David, if you want to collect or to select some points, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teresa. That was very interesting. Really, really interesting region in Spain, and I hope most people in this webinar can visit Navarra soon. So yes, the pictures look fantastic.
Yeah.
So we have we are slightly over time, but there are a couple of questions. We can go through them. So Ana Carvalho is asking, how important are cooperatives nowadays in Navarra?
Well, are quite important. I don't want to tell you exact number because maybe I can be wrong, but a big amount of the production for example, there is one very famous, San Martín de Unx, which is in the southern part. But all the 5 regions have some cooperatives, and most of wine growers, well, no, not all of them, but there are many important sub-regions that are production under cooperative efforts. As I mentioned, there's the average size of vineyards are quite small, so to be able to produce a significant quantity of very good wine needs historically of production. Another reference, for example, is the cooperative of Eslava, which is another village, important one with an interesting production of cooperative wine.
Okay, fantastic. Just going through probably just one more question. I'm just trying to see. So Darren is asking, has there been a rise in the production or market for low intervention wines versus traditionally made wines? And do you know what is the opinion of wine consumers in Navarra of these types of wines?
If I understood to say what is the opinion of consumer in Navarra
Of
organic and low intervention wines versus more
traditional
standard production wines. I would say that maybe the classic or traditional consumers, middle-aged people or older people, get used to the everyday wine. Maybe don't pay a lot of attention, but a lot of young consumers, most of the wine that is sold abroad Navarra and even in their own cities are much appreciated every day is more appreciated because the conscious of the protection of the terroir and the value of the land is an evidence today. So that the wine and the grape production can contribute. First, do not harm about that or the land, but also can contribute to the conservation and the value of the land. In such a small region, it's a key for most of the consumer.
Fantastic, thank you. So we don't have time for any more questions. I'm sorry for that. There are some interesting questions there, but we'll have to leave them for later. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. We already sent you the feedback poll. I hope you have completed. And Teresa, thank you very much for the presentation. I think it was quite fantastic to know more about this region and these wines.
Thank you. Thank you, David. It was a pleasure for me, and I really enjoy. The region is fantastic. The wines are very nice, and the people. I didn't talk a lot about the people, but they are also fantastic producers and and people in Navarra. So hope you meet them or in Navarra or around the world if you have the opportunity to drink their wines.
Yeah, we want to encourage people to go to wine tastings wherever you are, so you can try some of these amazing wines.
Sure.
So to finish, just to let you know that, as I mentioned at the beginning, the recording of the session will be emailed to everybody, as well as available to watch on the WSET Events Hub and on YouTube, and where you can catch up on all other events that we have been running lately. To find more and sign up to our wine qualifications, visit our Where to Study page at wctglobal.com. Thank you, everybody, and have a good day.
Have a nice day. Thank you very much. Enjoy wines. Ciao.